Today's video is on pentascales. What's a pentascale and how is it going to help me learn my chords? Well, that's what we're going to talk about. A pentascale is a 5-note scale, penta meaning 5. It is not to be confused with the pentatonic scale. That's a different thing. We might talk about that in a different video. The pentascale is the first 5 notes of any major or minor scale. So let's learn the pattern to that and how it's going to help you learn your root position chords. Here's your first pentascale, C major. Don't worry, I'm going to show you where these notes are on my piano. This is the first scale that you learn and the first hand position that you learn in most methods of teaching. And it's made out of C, D, E, F, and G. All right, so try this with me with your right hand. You put your thumb on C, finger 1, and you play up to G and back down again. Ready, go. That's your first one. You can do the same thing with the left hand. Try that with me, and then I'm going to teach you the pattern. Ready, go. All right, you can also try this with both hands at the same time, but first let me talk about the pattern to this. Each of the notes has a specific distance apart from each other they will be. So that's either going to be a whole step or a half step. So here's the difference between a whole step and a half step. The first two notes, C and D, are a whole step apart. We know this because there's a black note in between. A half step would be from C to the very next nearest note up or down, meaning that I would go from C to C sharp. So C to D is a whole step. So you get this? Half step, whole step. So the first two notes are a whole step apart. The next two notes are a whole step, half step. Now why is this a half step and not a whole step? That's because there's no black note in between, so these two notes are the closest they can be to each other. And then F to G is a whole step, so that gives us the pattern whole, whole, half, whole. This pattern will be the same for all the major pentascales. So, how would you make a minor pentascale out of this? All you have to do is change one note once you learn the major. You're going to change the third note up. You're going to flat the third note, so you get C, D, E flat, F, G. It changes the pattern to whole, half, whole, whole. Now you don't actually really have to remember that one. If you can remember the major pentascale, all you need to do is change the middle note and you get the minor pentascale. Let's take a look at a couple more and you can figure out all of them from this. And at the end, I will play through every pentascale at a medium tempo so you can see it and follow along if you want. Now this time I've written the note names in above the notes just in case you need it. There's a little bit of theory you might need to know to be able to read these notes. We're going to start on E. Now even if you don't know the notes, even if you can't read this at all, remember whole, whole, half, whole. All right, whole step, half step, whole step. Let's look at that again. I know that might be confusing. A whole step up from E is F sharp. Why is that? Because this is the note in between. This is the half step. This is the whole step. Now let's look at the next whole step, here to here. It's skipping the white note in between. It's a whole step. So we have whole, whole. Now we need a half step. So we're going to go to the next nearest white note from that black note, and then a whole step, skip this black note, and go to the white note. So here's your E scale. Try it with me with the left hand. You'll start with your 5th finger on E. Ready, go. All right? I know I didn't forget how to create chords is an important one on this one. So let's take a look at it with the E. How do I know how to make an E major chord just by knowing this? There's so many ways to build a major or minor chord, but this way I find to be the most useful because you're learning two things at once. You're learning your pentascale, and you're even learning your chord while doing that. A chord is made up of a root, third, and a fifth. Well, where are those notes? Think of those as numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A chord is made up of 1, 3, and 5. So there's your E major chord. Now how are we going to make an E minor chord? Do the same thing you did with the major pentascale to make it minor. Lower the third note, meaning the third interval above. Flatten it, which in this case, flattening a sharp means making it a white note. There's E minor. So that's the easiest way to create your all your major and minor chords in root position. I have other videos on inverting them also. Let me go through all the major pentascales right now so you can follow along. And then just remember, lower the third to create a minor. Follow along with the music right here. I'm going to have it scroll along for each of the pentascales in the music as I play them so you can see them on the music as well. And here's the last one. I hope this one was helpful for getting you to understand your pentascales and understand where your major and minor chords also even come from. If you have any questions for me, please let me know. Join one of my Take Lessons live classes or send me a note and I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.